Out here with the birds this morning. This is a 40-foot gooseneck, and we are building the biggest honkin' tiny house I have ever seen. And just wanted to point out what I did on the roof. My design. I'm doing a single slope roof just because we want to maximize space interiorly. But what I did here was, you can see I've got my bird's mouth right there. And then I've got the other bird's mouth right down there with the extra additional space for the sheathing, to go underneath it. So what I did was I measured from this edge to the top of the roof edge right here. I measured that and I was like, okay, that's 129 inches. And then I stuck a board up there, basically just set the board just flat up there, and then I marked where the edge of the roof was. So I just took my square, set it up right here, and then marked just a straight line up the board. And then I went to the other side where the bird's mouth would end, and I marked a line. And then I added on the 1/2 inch for the sheathing, where the sheathing would go, and just marked the line up that way. So I had a mark going perfectly vertical up, just a level line going up. Remember, the board is just laying just on top of here. There's no bird's mouth cut in it yet. Then I did the same down here. Just had the proper overhang, whatever it was that I wanted. And I just marked 2 markings on this side of the board, just going vertical up. Then what I did was I decided, okay, I want my bird's mouth to be, 3/4 of an inch. So then what I did was I just took the level and I put it across here, leveled it, and just marked it across at the height of the bird's mouth that I wanted. So basically, so if the board was standing up, I marked from the edge of the board right here, and I went level over to whatever 3/4 of an inch was here, and I did it the same at the top. So yeah, so it would leave a little triangle notch, okay, because my board's like this, and so I just marked from here perfectly low over, and that was 3/4 of an inch, and just cut out that triangle. And then so once you cut it out here and at the top of the board, then the board just sits down over whatever you've done. That's really easy for just a single slope roof. Alright, now as far as figuring out, okay, now I need to cut my ends. You can't leave your ends square with the board, because then this ridge beam would be turned to whatever the degree is. So then what I did was, so if you can picture this board just like sticking out over here, is I got my level, I stuck my level up against it and marked a perfectly level line. And so all these boards, all I did was, it's a 16-inch overhang from right here, so 14.5 inches. All I did was just cut all these boards at 14.5 inches, cutting them at a 9-degree angle. So from measuring from right here, cutting it down, measuring from right here to right there is 14.5 inches. And it creates a perfectly vertical line for my board to sit on it next. Now, here at the end, okay, because your boards are not going to be cut at 9 degrees, so that they can, like the top of your board, because you could technically, you could take your table saw and you could cut all these boards, instead of them being perfectly flat like this, you could cut them at a 9-degree bevel, and then you could put them flush up against here. Well, it's just easier just to take your square or a block and just set it right here, and then butt your piece up against there, just so your OSB, when it comes over here, just it doesn't get in the way, and it'll just sit down right there. That's fine. You can still nail into this edge. It's not gonna warp the wood enough to matter. So that little thing, and then of course your soffit will be able to nail onto the bottom here, level across there. So yeah, it's pretty simple. Once you get into it, you'll see, oh, okay, this all makes sense. This, you know, because a lot of the videos I've looked at, and maybe my video as well, it's kind of confusing going, wait. But once you get up here and you start looking at your roof, it might take you a minute, but you'll go, oh, okay, I understand the angles and how they work now. You just need some hands-on experience. Then also what I did was I've got these blocks here. They're just toe-nailed into here and into the side, going down in my top plate. I've got some hurricane ties on all my boards. What I'm going to do now is basically I'm just going to be putting just my fascia board onto here, the same way I did on the other side. I'm also going to be putting some joist hangers, which are these down here. I'm going to be putting those just down like this, putting them in with a couple of nails, galvanized nails, just like that. And then I could stand on that. I don't want to, but I could stand on this and it would be completely secure. So this is a secure way. What I did was I attached every one of them with one 3-inch screw at the back just to hold them in place so I can get my joist hanger up against it, hit it in with some nails, and or screw it into the side of the wood and then put in some nails. So yeah, and then I've got you know, that one last row of sheathing I've got to do, and then I'll cut all my sheathing before I bring it up here because it's all going to be about 16 inches worth of sheathing. And then I'll be ready to do my felt, and then I'll do my foam, and then my furring strips. Oh, something else you might have noticed is that I've got this sticking up over this surface. These are 2x8s, and then this is 2x6. Okay, why am I doing that? Because on this side, this is the house, so I'm going to have my felt, then my foam, and then my furring strips, and then my roof. On this side, I'm just having sheathing, just my OSB. There's not going to be any foam or furring strips, so that's an inch and a half that I've got to make up for the difference between this one and this one. So that's basically what I'm doing here, is this gap right here. By the time I get sheathing on it, this will be about an inch and a half difference, so that this side will meet up with this side perfectly. So obviously you could just do this all to be the same. You could put foam down on that side, but there's no house under it, so it's not like the insulation's going to do anything. So I figured, oh, I'll just, you know, buy some 2x8s. That'll raise it up to the proper height, and just sheath on that, and then I just have to put down the sheathing and the felt, and I don't have to waste any foam, rigid foam, and furring strips on it. So yeah, that's why it's like that. So here's the roof with the EPS foam on it. It's just 3/4 of an inch. It's just to give it some added insulation and to prevent even further thermal bridging, especially from the roofing. We're going to be putting some metal R panels on the roof. They're going to be white, just because the white does not hold on to heat like metal does, or like, you know, just plain metal like a galvanized metal or a galvalume as it's referred to in R panel. So this will just be a white roof to help for the heat dissipate. So yeah, over here on this edge, you can see there's no foam or anything like that. It's just the sheathing, and that's because there's no house underneath here. So I've just got it raised up to where the height of the 3/4 inch furring strips will be to meet, you know, the level for the metal panel to go across. But yeah, that's just the overhang. So it's got, you know, a radiant barrier sheathing on it, but that's it. Then on here is going to go the furring strips, and we'll have vented closures underneath the ridge cap and over here on the edge to help with cooling, so the air moves under and helps keep everything even cooler. But there is felt underneath here, so all this is taped, and then there's felt, so that's even a double layer of waterproofing as well. I don't know how this tape is going to hold up. It's you know, as far as being on a roof, hopefully it doesn't get too hot for it, but it's a good rated tape. Okay, here's the tape. So it's my camera would focus on the tape. CW. Cold weather formula. Yeah, Venture tape.